Oh, hello people, and welcome back to part 7 of Kokomo. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Over the last few episodes, the city's industrial infrastructure has really expanded, giving us some seriously impressive views across Saratos's massive rail yard that we installed, which is really beginning to give the city this kind of sprawling satellite view now after a few episodes, and the city has grown beyond its initial start. And with the rail yard going in last time, it's given me more direction as we head this time across the other side of the highway to introduce the city's first college, which will be made up of multiple different education assets around our first lake, of which there is many on this map, to factor into the road formation, alongside buses, static ploppables, and as always lots of prop detailing. Welcome back to Kokomo State, everyone. Let's build a college, shall we? Okay everyone, so welcome back to a wonderfully cloudy day in Kokomo. We're in the depths of winter here in December. And at the perfect time, I think, for the city to open its first community college. So let's take a look at our education values. In fact, we also need the other two as well. It'll be a while, I think, before we get a university, and I'm going to wait till there's quite a few more people eligible before we give that expense, because they're not cheap. But certainly we want a college, I think, at this point in the game, at 15,000. Which also brings us to our first body of water in the city, away from the actual ocean coastline itself. With a wonderful little lake here. So we'll certainly frame a new education campus around this area, right? So let's come into our education menu, and we'll purchase colleges for a single point. Now there's loads of choice here. Again, the content creator packs and the various region around the world packs have given us endless possibilities here. This particular instance though, I'm going to go with the Modern Community College from the Modern Architecture pack. Now this is a very impressive corner asset. That also unlocks the Eastern European office for us as well, one of the signatures, which will probably partner tremendously well with that, right? Tell me that isn't a match made in heaven for asset combination, right? Okay. You're certainly going to feature today. Absolutely. And then let's draw up a road. So again, coming into new grid orientations here. It would help if I actually bought the tiles first, with Anarchy on there. We'll probably do these two today, I think, this side of Saratosa. Also, just whilst we're in the orbital view, that's reminded me. What we're actually building here is going to be kind of a pretty medium density district here. Imagine a lot of people will come here for the day to chill out by the water, and of course there'll be tons of students here. So with that, I want to allow some medium density to rise up. Probably not as big as the Saratosa waterfront, but certainly down here. So snapping to our new grid, we'll do a single road. And I can certainly see this building sat on a roundabout. I think something with the striped flower bed as well. We'll want some supplementary connections, but as long as sewage and power is happy. And here we'll just hug our alleyway in. Just so we're happy. So just some small jigging and poking, just to provide car connections, of course, to the car parks on the front. Now via the static ploppables mod, we can also duplicate clones of the central building itself here. And this is essentially a prop. This comes via the static ploppables mods down here. Service buildings and zoned buildings. So, and the same with residential. If you just want it, the single building non-functioning. And the static ploppables mod will do it for you. But what it does allow us to do is to do some very fun and very happy fusing with the asset itself. Now, that's going to be an active pathway, isn't it? Honestly, I don't mind them being separated. We don't always have to fuse. But I suppose I'd like to just see what both look like. I mean, it does look a particularly more impressive asset with that on it, doesn't it? What asset upgrades does this have? It has a mini building. It also extends on the side as well. Do we want to get that right now? That's an extra 1,000 student capacity. Do we even need that though? No, we don't. Like, not even close. Okay, we'll add that at a later date then. Again, same with capacity. And then we also have a sports field as well. Which is different to this one, isn't it? That I placed over here. Yeah, it is a different asset. Okay, well let's get this in as well then. This is going to give us plus 25 attractiveness. And I think I'd love to angle this just 45 degrees against the shifting of the arterial angle there. And then we'll bring some pathways through here as well. Snapping to the edge of the building. Do we want to create a crossing there? I'm going to actually, because I can also see opportunities for walkability to really feature through here. Maybe crossing the river again as well. Quite happy to have a few bridges back and forth across this waterway. Sweet. That might encourage a few more people to just walk down to the college here. Of course, we'll build the road network around that pathway, right? We'll prioritize the pedestrian, which has probably never been said in a place like Florida, has it? Some very impressive highway interchanges for really kind of getting into a lot of the kind of insane network porn that we'll be playing with for Florida inspiration, to be taken from the city. So I certainly expect some elaborate highway interchanges to just run over that idea. So some of you mentioned you like it when I talk out loud about what's coming up, so you can kind of get a sense of the planning. As the grid grows to go kind of like south to north here, I'm planning on a major metro and possibly train and road bundle that emanates from this interchange, upgrading it into a 4-direction, so it flows this way to then slightly shift its angle and head straight into the heart of the city with highways, metros and trains all running that direction. Is the plan with that. So with that will come a lot of interchange fun, so I look forward to that at some point. And then we'll also bring pathways through here, and then we'll have some expanded commercial zoning maybe here to sit with the sports field. It'll also give this asset its own dedicated car park. And then switch to a normal road. Come back down, and then into the grid. Perfect. It's also grass line, that road up here as well. And I think maybe on all the interior of the campus. Just to help this industry settle in a little bit better, I'm going to refine for details and get rid of the smokestack sub-element and historicalize so it doesn't come back. Just because I don't really want the visual of smokestacks here, I'm happy for this more generic manufacturing. You can imagine maybe some, CNC machine companies being based in here, and there's a program at the college for people to get experience, etc. But I think that the smokestacks takes it a little bit too industrial for me, so I'm going to avoid that. In terms of the fusing, I think we're going to not do it and just have it flow as this kind of open courtyard space. And then I'm going to place another one. And then let's actually get this functioning Eastern European office building in as well. I think we use mostly small 2-lane roads around the campus. Get that one in there. And then we'll twist this around and just plug him on to hook him with that. Probably going to make sense, isn't it, to actually just bring these 2 roads here together. And yeah, we will actually also have a little sub-entrance into the campus there as well, with no traffic lights there. Okay, definitely want to have a main entrance, if you like, into a big education campus like this. Sweet, so a couple of sub-buildings are going to settle in quite nicely along with the actual functional asset itself. Let's grab some surfaces now and just essentially extend what's on the mother building, almost, if you like, for lack of a better phrase. And then through this extended surface work, I'm just going to run some invisible pedestrian path pretty much all the way across it. We'll also come down here as well. It's just snap to angle and geometry here. So now we have that extended network of invisible pathways around the campus. It'll really make it feel much more alive, right? And feels much more like an expanded campus facility. We're almost kind of playing with a poor man's campus DLC here, right? Which will hopefully happen one day, because I absolutely loved campus on CS1. To address the other education needs we also have, let's address an elementary school. Now again, I want to pick something that's roughly within the theme here. And we do also have a modern architecture elementary school, which is from this same pack. Which again, I think certainly looks very much at home here, doesn't it? This is actually a really nice corner asset. And again, it doesn't scream elementary school either, right? This just looks like another lecture room within the campus, doesn't it? In fact, we can even take the colour palette from the mother building and put it over here as well, right? My word, how useful is that? That's so good. Actually, just love that. I hope you can see the difference, everyone, between me tolerating CS2 and genuinely enjoying it, honestly. 1.6 has been a just incredible game changer for me, just simply enjoying the game. And I hope you're enjoying that as well. I'm going to bring in a car park here, just for some in-campus parking. What does that do for our education demands? Does it have an upgrade? Yeah, it could do with some extra student capacity. And a community playground as well. I mean, yes, absolutely. Let's have this. Not snapping to a road. And then we'll have a little pathway here. That just cuts up alongside the building again. I actually wouldn't even mind generating the pedestrian crossing there, purely because it almost makes it look like this could possibly be disabled parking here. A little bit closer to the building in a separate segment, so I'm actually going to keep that. And then that can flow, again, back down to the little CNC kind of machine shop, 3D printer-esque type industrial stuff over here, right? Direct access to the campus. Again, that's going to give us another pitch, which is very kind of on form for our campus themes here. There's possible justifications for another one of these schools, which I might very well include, just as another little orbital campus site building. Possibly even over here, actually, again, you know, by the community college, because there's going to be loads of people living here, so like this low density sprawl is going to continue to envelop the campus. With medium density embellishment, of course, like we spoke about. So the schools are going to fill. Again, so good. Love that. Wonder what happens if I actually apply that to this asset. It actually changes the colour of the track. You know what? I think we'll do that, right? It's all on brand and on theme, isn't it? That should be plenty. We've also got the other upgrade to apply as well. And then the high school from modern architecture is also quite a really beautiful asset as well, isn't it? And our last major space is over here, really. And again, just to reform that pathway, because school's coming in first. I'd love to organise it just... Again, respecting that angle. This is also probably going to look really sweet from the highway as well. Going to be a big fan of that. And then we'll bring a main road up into the middle, squaring off the stretch node with node controller, which doesn't actually pull back the pedestrian crossings, does it? Which is fine. I'm just going to turn off some of the weird looking ones. There's still other places to cross back into here. A little bit of grass lining, and also plenty of cycling. Which will remove my grass lining, but it's fine, because cycling is going to feature heavily in the grid. And then I don't really want it here heading through the highway. So actually, you know, I think in that instance, we're going to remove it from there. And then a new bike-only system. Or actually, no, we'll go with the divided one. This is going to begin. And flows away straight into downtown, everyone. So everyone look forward to that one day. I'm actually just going to keep on drawing it. It's not going to cost you much to place, is it? Yeah, I'm just going to draw that all the way through. Tiles using Anarchy. Just so future downtown developing egg doesn't forget about that. That a full pedestrian and bike system will cut through from pretty much central Saratoga here. Right into the heart of the city, right? That's going to be amazing to see one day, isn't it? On the subject of bicycles, cycling is going to be a pretty major theme around the campus, so we'll have multiple large cycling halls. Again, this asset can be recolored as well to be the same color as the campus. Isn't that cool? That actually makes the cycling buildings look a lot more interesting. Not that they're not horrible, but they're very muted and kind of super modern looking, aren't they? But a bit of colour on them does wonders. Really highlights these little embellishments here, doesn't it? It's also like, these little buildings make perfect Satisfactory blueprints as well, don't they? Well, for some reason I find that very inspiring recently. I do need to get back to playing some Satisfactory. Let me know if you'd love to see a little Satisfactory Let's Play on the channel. It can be quite a elaborate experience, Satisfactory, but it is absolutely incredible. Especially playing it from the more visual aesthetic standpoint, as I tend to do with these sorts of games as well. Rather than trying to min-max everything to ultra efficiency. Pathway will continue, of course. Which now brings us to this, which is another little area I want to work on to really bring the lake into the build. So let's grab our level terrain, and I want to create a little island. So, small brush size, and as centrally as I can get it. I'll try and make it slightly more interesting shape as well. Let's come to one of the Tendril 3 brushes for this. And then I'd love a bridge over here. Which one do we want to use, though? I feel like the cable stayed might be a bit dramatic. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, I think maybe just a covered pedestrian bridge, because I really want the island to be kind of the little cutesy feature here. So if I can get a little curve. That's 68.5 meters there. And then back to Earth with maybe wide pedestrian path. And then back to little bridge segment. I'm going to try and get the same bridge measurement. Something to about there. And then we do have invisible pedestrian pathways there. And I guess they will connect to that. I'm actually not sure if they will. The invisible pathway with visible, I suppose. Which I think I'm just going to do maybe on certain sides of the campus. Then that is connected there, so that'll be fine. And then on this island, plenty of little gazebos. In a few places. Certainly a place to come with your books and your picnic blanket. Do some studying. Hang out with other campus people. And then just a little row of 6-meter benches, which I'm going to leave as multicolored. That's quite cool actually, isn't it? With the variation. A couple of little park signs in here too. And certainly quite a few really thick old oak trees for sure. Let's just go for mature and elderly here. Especially in the coverage of the picnic blankets too. By the gazebo, lots on the shoreline. Some hickory too. Of course it's winter as well, so we've got this really autumnal colour palette in the trees right now. And certainly let's not forget that we are in Florida, right? Let's keep our Florida palms present in the island. And then lots of like rocky shoreline as well. And we can also get some nice green bush tucked in there too. And then of course plenty of tendril brush across these landscapes. Let's also go with the lush grass painter here too. Definitely more of a landscape vibe we want here, right? As opposed to other areas of the city which have been kind of left for the dusty, hot climate to reclaim. Not that this is a dusty climate at all, but there is sand here clearly. As opposed to more sort of like this space, where it's just roadside wasteland, essentially. We've definitely got groundskeepers working over here, right? And a couple of bins that are just along the path at the same time. And that's pretty much it. Just little island out here in the campus grounds that students can use to study. Of course, we'll also get people moving through this as well. Hopefully, anyway. Oh, here we go. Are you going to be the first? No. Are you going to be the first? No. Is anyone? Anyone at all? Anyone want to use the pathways? No. Here come some people. Are you just hanging out? Yeah, they're just hanging out. And then I'm just going to keep this path network hugging the entire shore of the lake. So now people can walk all the way around and indeed across the lake if they need to get to a particular area of the campus here. Given the fact we also have a lot of people wanting to come here, given the fact, what capacity is this? Potentially 5,000, so it's quite a lot one day, isn't it? And because we've got sports pitches here and it's a campus college, I think it makes sense for us to have its own little minibus station. Now we use the sunken one in this station, in the city centre, so we use a different one. I think we'll just go with the small bus station here. And maybe this can be something that occupies this area quite nicely. So I'll position that directly behind the elementary school here. So this small bus station is going to fuse near perfectly onto the back of the elementary school, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah, which isn't technically an elementary school because there's currently hordes of people doing yoga. It's excellent tree players. A little bit of Warrior 2. Yes, please. The yoga poses are accurate, to be fair. But yeah, it's clearly not an elementary school, is it? Because anything is a massive yoga studio. Yeah, but here, we'll certainly add bus lanes onto this road. And likely here as well. Again, this is going to serve as another little mini bus distribution hub. Because most of Saratoga is going to be served by buses as opposed to trams. The trams will transition into the medium density areas, as will the metro. But I mean, if we did want to feed a tram down here, I mean, it's already crossing the river, so I could bring it down this way. It's either that or we bring it down the main street, which would need the road to be changed quite a bit, and then have it come across the highway through the industrial area. But then it's really covering the same ground as the buses then, which I want to try and avoid. My gut is saying just buses still here. I'm not ready to start with trams just yet, even though we have the infrastructure prepped. So this bus here, the industrial shuttle that comes into the industrial estate, we're going to send a new stop to come up here. We'll also add a couple more stops onto that as well. There can be one there. And then there's no need for another one here between there and this one really. So just on your way out in case anyone here wants to pick up. And there's also a great opportunity there for another invisible walking pathway that connects where you would expect people to cut through there, right? If they're trying to catch the bus. And we'll bring through some hairy dirt to indicate that. And then as the rest of the Saratosan grid grows out, we now have 2 more bus hubs here, which can serve this area. I was wondering, is it worth this bus coming up? It's a little bit out of the way, isn't it? You guys are kind of serving this area in the south. Yeah, I think we'll leave that. Maybe they'll converge once we're building buses in these areas. Again, just to think out loud about what I'm trying to plan there with a lot of the incoming bus infrastructure at least. I bet we could also squeeze a nice park in here. Yeah, let's go with the large playground. I can angle you so you're sat in line with everyone else. Yeah, we can. I really love this 45-degree corner here with the bus stop now. Let's find some commercial to complement this area, and we'll filter specifically for the side angle commercial buildings. Actually, maybe even a touch of mixed use here. I did mention medium density. I'm going to go with this one. It's a level 1 front-facing mixed use from the Southwest pack. What a surprise, everyone. Oh my god, it's egg-placing buildings from the Southwest pack. We've never seen this before. Groundbreaking gameplay event. And then we'll have a fountain sat on this corner here. Sweet. So really fun way to fill out a little corner, bringing in some different angles into the grid, because as fun as my grid projects can be, if you're not careful they can get very square. So I think the shift of 45-degree angle to the 90-degree is always very welcome, alongside more curvy local roads and networks if you can afford them. Oh, we've had a car crash. What's happened over here? Oh, it's like rich oil barons that live here are crashing their Mustangs. But otherwise, apart from some businesses suffering from not enough customers, everyone in the city is pretty happy. We're also still making tidy profit as well. So just tidied up a little bit at the edge of the campus here with some office zoning coming in, alongside also expanding those road frames just heading across the river. Two bridges like this might be a bit much for me. I might reform how this flows. Maybe this one won't cross and will instead curve into here. Maybe I'll decide once we cross over the river into these tar boundaries what happens with the road. But it's bringing us some very welcome angles in amongst all the grid infrastructure at least. Some new traffic jams developed across the city. The other ones are also still present. I was going to say they weren't here earlier, but they are at the minute. But down here it's fine. So it moves. When they also loaded in, it was also down here as well. A little bit busy over here. What's that again? What time are we on? Yeah, it's more towards midnight now. We have just put in a load of new homes though, so I imagine there's new people scurrying about all over the place. With this here, with this final little space by the highway, I'll have to find an industrial unit. I think I'm going to go with this one. It's just a 2 deep level 1 industrial asset off the first row. So place a few of them down, and then I'm going to fuse them all together, completely side by side. And the reason I'm using function buildings for this is because I still want to help satisfy the demand bars down here. You could totally do this using the static ploppables mod and just pull the asset out yourself, right? But if I can help it, I'm going to make sure there's some businesses in here so industrial demand goes down. But absolutely do like that. In fact, I'll probably use some of these as well. Maybe if I don't want a road in a particular place, I can stick one of them in, so I'll leave that on the sidelines. And again, a lot of better bulldozer will happen here. And then just push them back. And then I want to give them an internal road, so we'll definitely snap to the side of building here. And then we'll have a little southwest office here, which can function as our entrance office, if we want to inquire about said self-storage. Or whatever industry you want to repurpose it to in your head. Smaller manufacturing, little self-storage units. There's lots of little ideas you can run with, really. And then I'm just going to draw in a little gate, as if it closes at night, of course, given the fact it is secure storage. And then we'll sort the terrain here so we're getting no strange bowing in the assets there. And then with these services, I'll delete pretty much all but one, because we don't need the weird patchwork pattern that's going on here. But that's what I love though, right? That's why I want them to be functioning assets, because it's like someone's pulled up in their SUV here to access their self-storage unit. But at least this row of units, they're kind of like internal, you know? So that's really great stuff. I'm really happy with that. And then we'll have this final generic concrete texture run the full course of the yard. And then here maybe just like a few containers if you don't want like a full room. They also have shipping containers for hire, should you wish to store spare furniture or equipment that can synthesize crystallized methamphetamines, whatever you want to do. And just this little row of manufacturing looking units instantly just doesn't look that industrial, does it? Just like it's commercial storage for hire space. It's incredibly stormy as well. And we had a comment about the rain in the detail in Timelapse, which I will be sure to turn off. But let me know if you like it on during the episodes. I think it's quite therapeutic, isn't it? And plus it's Florida, so I feel like it'd be nice to see it rain, you know? We just need puddles next, so things actually look wet, that'd be cool. But either way, I feel like we're in a good point for a detail in Timelapse now. We're going to forest off the suburb so it continues to flow as the one next door to it. And then detail up all this, lots of hedge lining and plaza space to embellish around the back of the college in particular. And then a lot of fun and games to tie off this next developed square of the ever-growing Kokomo Margrid. So grab yourself some snacks and we'll be right back with previously discussed detailing time-lapse. Alright everyone, let's have a detailing time-lapse of the Saratoga College campus, shall we? Over here, up to the tile boundaries, is just residential. And again, things we expanded during the episode, all forested up around here. With our parking getting some use by the stadium as well. And also a little clock tower park with a node-controlled pathway. And some benches, just as a point to not developing everything, allowing some green space to exist in these areas. Heading into the campus, we'll see our bike parking. Which I'm still not seeing tons of bikes, to be honest. Is that one there? That's just a motorbike, isn't it? Oh, there you go, there's one. But still, maybe I think actually what we will do is mid-review here, we'll come into the Saratoga district and actually encourage cycling as a method to move around the city, see if that encourages them. And this cycling infrastructure is going to emanate far and wide from here, especially through the rest of Saratoga. Of course, one day directly connecting it into downtown. We'll check out the bike pathway while we're also in the suburb here as well, which is getting, again, mostly walkers. But I really love how this cuts through the grid. And this will be really cool to follow all the way into downtown one day, won't it, as things continue to develop around it over time. Very fun, and the entire campus is hedge-lined with multiple pathways back onto the lake access here. There's lots of lush grass, little food court here out the back of the bike station. Zoned office in here too, likewise with this one. With all our facilities available on the edge. Nice little supplementary office for the campus. Of course, the sub-building itself, tons of repetitive prop design in and around the campus itself with planters, fountains, palms, edges. I've actually gone over the road there. Let's make sure we don't do that. At a southwest office, also with supplementary campus car parking behind it. Then this comes to a cul-de-sac which opens up into the back of the college itself, with mirrored fountain and bench designs. One of the pergolas from City Stations is also present here as well. There's a bit of sun shelter perhaps. And we can see students. Little backpack here. Are you a student? It sounds like Ralph Wiggum, doesn't it? Clay Garner. It's definitely heard Ralph Wiggum from one of those little yelps. Child going to school. Wonderful. Yeah. I mean, he looks a little bit older than a child, to be fair. But won't read too much into that. But yes, wonderful scenes to see around the lake. Exactly what I wanted. Lots of people in education, walking from facility to facility, really making it feel like a campus, right? Again, the views across to those other little supporting buildings, you know, perhaps that's chemistry over there, right? And here is fine arts and literature, right? Node control pathways, again, just on those major junctions to curve them out. Not too many people crossing over the island, which is a real shame. Maybe when we have people more living in this direction, they'll be more inclined to walk through the campus because there is invisible pathways here, but they do prefer the actual pathways as opposed to the invisible ones. So, oh no, be the devil. Someone has walked that. I think we just missed them, did we? Okay, so maybe they are getting a little bit used. Are you going to use them? Yes, please. Okay, so they are getting tiny bits used. We'll see what happens here. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? Just love this. Yeah, walking behind the back of the campus. Views to the lake with the students. Very cool. Really feels like a poor man's campus DLC, doesn't it? So I'm really happy with it. Over through here. Again, allowing green space to exist. Which we're really going to thank ourselves for in the much grander concrete grid that grows around these spaces. And these little pops of green will really pay off from our satellite build, if you like. Back over to the side of the southwest office, just expanded some football training here. Extending out the pitch texture with practice props, practice goals, which comes onto our bike parking. Also expanded the bike detailing along the back here as well. This is all prop stuff here. So lots of fun to be had with these little spaces. Cycling infrastructure ever present with the school here. In terms of what it's done for our education demands, we're well in the green with high school and especially college as well. But even already into that, we've nearly eaten through a fifth of the college demand. But there's still a couple of upgrades that we can add to the building. So if we wanted to one day add this, you know, we've got another campus site across the road to develop, haven't we? Perhaps by this body of water we can back that onto. But I don't need to pay the upkeep on it yet because demands are still too low. But as the suburb grows out around this, elementary and high school are going to drop again. But there's all modular things we can do here. There is another high school in. And further down this pathway, this is just because I wanted the pool visual here. Perhaps a aquatic centre going on there, right? Some water out the front. And again, this backs out really nicely onto the water with that extended prop work and surfaces leading onto a bit of a beach. Maybe if people do go swimming here, maybe the campus doesn't allow it. But the students do it anyway. There's parks in this way, an expansion for the high school, tennis courts, again, which is all plugged into this walkable campus pathway around the edge of the lake. Offices here, there's some detailing behind the Zone Southwest commercial, which all zoned in as a really nice little strip mall. So expanded the services, props, fencing out the back, just so they didn't look as awkward being so shallow off the road here. And then that pathway kicks in, taking us around, which people are using. Of course, which takes them back to the rail yard that we found in last episode. So we're starting to see, especially I think if we crawl over now from sort of downtown Saratoga and just enjoy this immense sprawl that's beginning to develop, right? A lot of fun to just watch develop, isn't it? So there's a very certain kind of satisfaction that comes from playing Cities Skylines. When you start to see this sort of thing come together. There's nothing else quite like it, is there? The offices continue with frontage car parking before our little self-storage unit comes in here. With some extra toll booths and service work by the fence gate. And again, we can see this now. We have vehicles driving in and out of our self-storage because they're coming here to store things and drop things off rather than just being props, which is why I'll always try and use the functional ploppable version if I can blend it in. It's not always possible depending on the size of the asset, really. Is generally how I tend to sort of gauge it up. So happy with this. And then the overgrown dusty highway belt settles in alongside the last build as well. And then further into the campus, there's more node control pathways, more dirt oak planters before we hook up with the other side of the bridge. Which links in very nicely to the second episode where we built up all this distribution style industry and kind of local manufacturing stuff. There we go, we can see there's another building not historical there. Just want to keep on top of those smokestacks, and better bulldozer mod is really welcome. Right? And yeah, I love the views. Again, I mentioned last episode that I love how industry particularly is integrating into the city. I feel like with the official asset pool being so much wider, the options are so much more open, especially with the props available. Allows you to fill much more space, I think, with different things. And then over here by the bus station, and there's 8 people waiting. So hopefully over time, this is going to get busier and busier. The cycle track, there's loads of people doing yoga. Like, don't like this. This needs to be fixed. We really need animations and for this sort of stuff to stop. So hopefully that's not too far off the agenda. You know, to see an actual football match or a race going on, as opposed to clusters of yoga and press-ups. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'd like to see next, I think. Hilarious to say out loud, isn't it? When you actually think about it. Again, same thing with the school. Yeah, and that bus station blended in really nicely with the school, doesn't it? And it all just flows as this really nice campus space that I'm really happy with. This is definitely my first proper approach, I think, to a decent campus space in CS1. Yoakley has a campus, but it's on mental terrain, so that kind of really overrid the rest of the build. But otherwise, guys, that will do it for today. A massive shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that bankroll these videos. If you're interested in that, links are down below to Instant Gaming, where you can help yourself to wonderful game deals that do help me directly pay my mortgage. And if you are new, don't forget to subscribe. YouTube will release my family if I ever get to 1 million subscribers, so I think that's something we can all work toward. I've said it once and I'll say it again, I'm really enjoying Kokomo, and thank you for all the support on the series. And definitely our first taste of Education Campus today. Of course, will require many more colleges across the grid eventually, alongside substantially more elaborate and exuberant universities. We'll carry on building out the town Sartosa over the next few episodes, before we turn our attention, I think, to some specialized industry away from this current grid formation. Enjoy the cinematics, and I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.